Imagine being chosen to spend the night with the most powerful man in the empire, but instead of romance, your evening begins with silence, supervision, and a strict checklist overseen by guards and officials. No privacy, no personal choice, and no room for error. Welcome to the hidden world of the Imperial Harem. Inside the Forbidden City, deep in the heart of ancient China's royal palaces, the emperor's bedroom was one of the most tightly controlled spaces in the empire. Far from a luxurious escape, it was governed by a complex network of rituals, political considerations, and fears of betrayal. And at the center of it all were the women of the harem, concubines, consorts, and empresses, each bound by centuries of tradition and constantly watched under the gaze of palace law. Contrary to popular imagination, the Imperial Harem was not a free-flowing world of indulgence. Every intimate interaction the emperor had with his consorts was carefully managed by court officials, senior eunuchs, and a massive administrative system. The emperor may have held absolute power in the eyes of the world, but even his personal moments were shaped by rules that had been in place for generations. Each evening followed a sacred routine. After finishing his evening meal and completing state duties, the emperor would return to his private chambers. Waiting for him there was a ceremonial tray, an object both simple and deeply symbolic. This tray, presented by the chief eunuch, held multiple jade plaques. Each plaque was inscribed with the name of a concubine or consort from the Imperial Harem. This was no casual offering. The arrangement of these plaques was carefully considered. While the emperor appeared to choose freely, the truth was often more political than personal. Influential figures within the palace, such as trusted eunuchs or court advisors, sometimes arranged the names so that certain women appeared more prominently. Through this subtle manipulation, they could guide the emperor's decision, promote favored families, or maintain alliances. When the emperor selected a plaque, flipping it over with what seemed like casual interest, it marked the beginning of a highly organized series of events for the chosen woman. Once selected, the concubine would be informed and immediately begin her preparation. This was no simple task. She was expected to bathe in water infused with rare herbs and oils, believed to purify the body and enhance fertility. These baths were more than hygiene. They were spiritual rituals meant to cleanse bad fortune and prepare her to serve the emperor. Following her bath, attendants would dress her in a silk covering, often a single embroidered robe or blanket, bearing symbols of luck, harmony, or fertility. Then came a personal grooming session, where her hair was combed, her skin gently powdered, and her presence made perfect in every way. Before she left her quarters, a senior eunuch conducted a brief inspection. No jewelry, no ornaments, no accessories that could hide a blade or poison. The emperor's safety was the highest priority. Even the faintest possibility of danger was taken seriously. Next, the concubine was carefully placed on a silk-covered stretcher, carried not by ordinary servants, but by trusted eunuchs. These men, loyal only to the throne, escorted her silently through the dark corridors of the Forbidden City toward the emperor's private quarters. Being carried may sound elegant, but it was a strategic decision. The palace had strict protocols to prevent any concubine from sneaking something dangerous beneath her robes. Lifting her off the ground eliminated the chance of anything being hidden in shoes and limited her ability to move freely or unpredictably. At the emperor's chamber, another inspection was often performed before she was gently laid on the imperial bed. No words were spoken unless the emperor initiated conversation. This rule wasn't simply about control, it emphasized hierarchy. The concubine was to remain silent unless addressed, reinforcing her status as a servant of the emperor's will. Time with the emperor was strictly monitored. Each session was timed, usually lasting around 1 hour. Outside the chamber, eunuchs stood ready to call out softly when the time was nearly up. If there was no response, they were instructed to enter the room discreetly to check on the emperor's well-being. Every moment was structured to protect the ruler's life and preserve the palace's order. When the visit ended, the concubine was wrapped once more in silk and carried back to her own residence. She was not allowed to linger or speak. This ritual ensured that no single woman spent more time than others, preventing favorites from gaining too much influence. The Imperial Harem was one of the most closely observed parts of court life. Every move a woman made was documented. Detailed records were kept not only of who spent time with the emperor, but for how long and when. If a child was conceived, this tracking helped ensure that the lineage of the imperial family was never in question. Even the most natural aspects of life were tracked. During menstruation, a concubine was forbidden from being selected. In Chinese tradition, this was believed to bring bad luck or interfere with the emperor's energy. To avoid embarrassment, women developed discreet methods of signaling their unavailability. Gold rings, folded notes, red ribbons tied around their wrists, or red lanterns outside their doors. And yet, even this delicate system could be manipulated. Some ambitious concubines, desperate to gain favor, concealed their status and risked punishment. In response, eunuchs were ordered to keep track of menstrual cycles and monitor the health of each woman, adding yet another layer of control to their lives. Life in the palace could be beautiful but also dangerous. The emperor's affection was powerful, too powerful. When one woman received too much of it, rivalries would grow. Political factions could form around favored concubines. This created tension, jealousy, and sometimes outright rebellion. One of the most dramatic stories in Chinese history occurred during the reign of the Jiajing emperor. Obsessed with immortality, he forced concubines to assist in dangerous alchemical experiments, subjecting them to toxic potions. Many became ill, others died. Eventually, a group of women, desperate to escape his cruelty, attempted to assassinate him. Their plan failed, and the punishment was severe. Those involved were executed with the harshest sentences known to imperial law. This dark chapter reminded the entire court that even in the most luxurious setting, the stakes could not be higher. Not all stories from the harem were acts of rebellion. Some were tales of love, loss, and the price of beauty. Yang Guifei, one of the most famous concubines in Chinese history, won the heart of Emperor Xuanzong during the Tang dynasty. Her beauty was legendary, and so was her influence. But her rise sparked jealousy, political unrest, and resentment from powerful officials. When the empire faced rebellion, the military blamed her and demanded her execution. To save the throne, the emperor agreed. Yang Guifei was taken to a temple and died there. Whether by her own hand or under royal orders, no one knows for certain. Her story became legend. Poems, paintings, and operas remember her not as a political figure, but as a woman caught in the tides of history, loved by an emperor, hated by the court, and remembered forever. The bedroom rituals of the Imperial Harem weren't just about ceremony, they were about control, legacy, and survival. In a world where power was always at risk, even moments of intimacy were orchestrated with caution and care. From silent corridors to carefully folded jade plaques, every detail spoke to a system where emotion was second to duty. Today, the Imperial Harem remains one of the most fascinating aspects of Chinese history.